Vision Australia.
Blindness,
low vision,
Opportunity.
So Karen, I mean, we've talked a little bit about, having the same expectations and things for children and youth and people, regardless if you have vision loss or not. But let's face it, there's still some skills that are very unique to having vision loss. Skills and using equipment and things like that. Why are those important and what are they?
Disability-specific skills are those skills that an individual has to learn only because he or she has blindness or low vision. Sighted kids don't need to learn, for example, Braille or how to travel with a long cane. But I think it's more than just Braille and mobility. I guess I would always start in my thinking about disability-specific skills or alternative techniques, alternatives to using vision. I would always start with organizational skills. Everyone would do better and probably manage better and be more successful if they were organized versus disorganized. But I think it's particularly poignant when you think about individuals who are blind or have low vision, because one of the advantages to sight, full sight, is that it enables you to be a little bit sloppy, frankly, in terms of life. It enables you to set your keys down, walk away, and then think, where did I leave them? And go back to that room or go back to that house and simply scan the environment. Whereas if you have no vision or very limited vision and you just set your keys down, you're in a situation where you're going to have to literally braille the environment. Touch every table, every chair, every surface, the floor, where you might have dropped them or set them down or laid them, whatever the case may be. It's very inefficient. It's a good example of why organizational skills are absolutely critical for life success if you have impaired vision. You need a system that enables you to know this is where I put my keys every time. It may be a hook by the door. It doesn't matter what the system is. It matters that you have a system. What do you need to do as a child in order to get yourself organized? Well, you need to pick up your toys, you need to pick up your clothes, you need to pick up the accoutrements for bathing, your towel, your washcloth, whatever you are using in the bathroom. You need to be able to keep up with which is your toothbrush, which is your brother's toothbrush. It's important that you have some system that enables you to mark things and to know where those things ought to be. Or you could end up in a situation where you're brushing your teeth with your dad's shaving cream, and that would not be good. So if you're a young person watching this video, you have a responsibility to yourself to figure out what's going to work best for you. It's about having systems. It's about having a specific way that you keep up with your stuff. And that's the number one skill, I think, that you learn as a young person that's going to facilitate or help you as you move forward in terms of learning alternative techniques. Other kinds of skills that I think you're going to want to learn how to use are skills that are going to enable you to quickly and efficiently gather information. If you are blind, you're going to need to learn Braille and some kind of assistive technology, not just Braille, because Braille isn't available all the time everywhere. That basic skill of Braille will enable you to learn to read and learn to write efficiently, critical to success at school. If you are someone with low vision, you may prefer to use either magnification devices to help you read, or you may use assistive technology so that you can read what's on the screen in an enlarged font rather than using simple standard font. Those are alternative techniques. Braille use of optical devices, learning how to make the print the size you want it to be, that is easiest for you to read. And most of you are going to learn how to use technology, electronic media, both to read and to produce written work. In most instances, you're going to need some kind of alternative to straight print. Many devices these days, think handheld phones, pads, devices like laptop computers, many of them, not all, many of these devices have built-in accessibility these days, which is great. You're very fortunate in that regard, but sometimes it won't work, and so you need assistive or adapted or access technology. It's assistive or adapted technology that enables you to use mainstream technology with a vision impairment. You're going to need to learn how to use that access technology. You're going to have to learn how to use Braille, learn how to use large print or screen magnification so that you can gather information. Another area where people who have vision impairment require some assistance is in traveling in the environment. Many people who are blind will travel using a long cane. Sometimes later in life they will add a dog guide. Sometimes they will walk with a sighted person guiding them, someone to walk through space and give you information based on what's in the environment so that you can easily move through space. If you have low vision, you may use a handheld magnifier to read a map or a schedule, a time schedule. You may use an assistive technology device with GPS in it. You may need to use a monocular or a telescope to read signage. You may use a long cane in unknown environments so that you are not relying exclusively on vision that is perhaps not totally reliable when you're outside of your comfort zone. Use the tools that will enable you to move comfortably through space, safely through space, and effectively through space. And then the last area I really want to kind of hone in on and focus on in terms of these alternative techniques that I'm concerned about is what we call independent living skills or activities of daily living. And these are the techniques that you use for taking care of yourself, personal management, and you use at home, home management, to keep up with the household. The cooking skills, sewing skills if you're going to learn how to sew, cleaning skills, how to clean the floors, how to clean the surfaces, how to vacuum, how to wash dishes, wash clothes, all of those skills that are performed typically at home so that you can live comfortably and safely without assistance from other people. I realize that many of you have parents who are helping you with some of these tasks. That's fine, as long as it's time limited. So in the very beginning of life, I expect your mom or your dad to help you with all kinds of things, washing your clothes, finding your clothes, putting on your clothes, grooming yourself, but not forever. At some point, somewhere along the way, I expect you to start taking on that responsibility, bathing yourself, grooming yourself, taking care of your personal needs, and then helping at home. In the beginning, I expect you to do things like picking up your toys, hanging up your clothes, hanging up the towels in the bathroom, the kinds of things that other kids your age are doing, so that you are more like them than you are different. Blind and low vision kids and youth need to be responsible for their own stuff and their own self, and then they need to contribute towards the upkeep, if you will, of the family unit. So I would expect you to start helping out at home with the laundry, for example, or with setting the table at night, or with cleaning up after dinner, putting away the dishes, putting them into the dishwasher. If there's not a dishwasher, being the dishwasher, literally washing the dishes, drying them if you need to or want to, and then putting them away. These are the kinds of activities that all kids learn, but as a child with blindness or low vision, you are going to have to learn how to do all of those things without sight or with impaired sight. So you may need to mark your stove. You may need to mark your washing machine. You may need to mark the dishwasher if there is a dishwasher in your house. You're going to need to have a system that enables you to mark the difference between the dishwashing fluid and the hand soap at the sink. You may need a system that enables you to mark your grooming supplies so that your sister or brother doesn't use your stuff. It's all about figuring out what you need to do and then figuring out what tools are available. There'll be service providers in your life who will show you things. Special devices for marking clothing, for example, ways to keep up with your things that go together that other kids may not need to use. You may want to use your smartphone with an app on it to tell you the different colors of your trousers or your shirts or your dresses, where the other kids in your circle of family or in your school can just eyeball it. But you need those alternative techniques so that you can be just as efficient using a different skill set.
Sometimes I hear from young people that they just don't want to stick out, and having the cane or the different things makes them stick out, or they might feel like might make them feel vulnerable sometimes if they're out in public and people know that they have vision loss.
Yeah, I think it's a real challenge for those of us working with young people to help them understand that blindness is not a problem. Low vision is not a problem in terms of being successful in life if you have the competencies, if you have those special skills, if you are able to do things for yourself. I think blindness becomes an issue or a stigma. You'll sometimes hear, well, there's a stigma to blindness. No, there's a stigma to incompetence. There's a stigma to not being able to do for yourself things that other people around you are doing who are your same age. So if, for example, all the other kids at the swimming pool are able to go to the dressing room, change out into their bathing costume or swimsuit, but the blind child has to be changed by his mom or changed by his dad or a brother or sister, helped to get dressed, then that makes him different. But if that blind child can go into the dressing room, put on his own costume, find his locker, put his things into the locker, close it up with a lock that he can open again, then there's no stigma. If he uses a cane to get from poolside to the locker, and then from locker back out to the poolside, I don't have any problem with that. It's no big deal. He's just moving through space. If I have to go in and find him and bring him out, then there's a stigma because it's incompetence. And I think for young people sometimes and families sometimes, they're thinking the stigma is the cane or the stigma is the magnifying glass. No, 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 no. Those are tools. Sighted people don't have a problem with you using a tool. They have a problem if you can't do things for yourself. It's not a stigma to use a tool. A stigma is when you don't use the tool and appear to be awkward or incompetent.
One of the things that I love when I'm working with children, particularly in primary, is how we can give them examples of bringing that all together, particularly for things like school camp, because that's such a milestone in your school career in a way, and that's what people are talking about leading up to it, and then that's what everyone's talking about afterwards. And I'm reminded of lots of the kids that I've worked with who've gone, oh, I can't go on camp, I've never had to do any of this stuff for myself before. It's like, well, this is great. These are the goals that you need to set for yourself for the next 4 months, that we're going to make sure that when you go on camp, you can find your bag of toiletries to go to the bathroom, or you can find the right clothes that you're going to put on. And I did this with one young guy who was going on his first ever night away from home, away from family. He had never done that before. And the report that came back was that he was the most organised kid on camp, and that had such a big impact on his self-esteem and confidence. It's like, yeah, I was actually better than everybody else in this situation. And that for him, like, we still talk about camp, and it was over 6 months ago. There was so much richness to that event, and he was just part of the gang of kids. He wasn't treated any differently because he demonstrated competence. He demonstrated that everybody didn't need to worry about him. He had it under control.
I think it's a great example, Nat, and I think it's exactly what we're trying to achieve with young people. It's what I want each of you to achieve for yourselves, that you identify what it is you want and how to make that happen. And these alternative techniques facilitate or make it easier for you to make it happen. I mean, what a great kudo to hear from the camp counselors and the other kids that you're the most organized person at camp, instead of the, oh, poor little guy. That's not the messaging that I want for you. I want you to be the one who can say, I've got this, I've nailed this, I don't have to worry about this. And that you can say to your mom and your dad, not a problem, I can do this on my own, and then do it.
Vision Australia.
Blindness,
Low vision.
Opportunity.